Welcome to this edition of Morgan You Asked For podcast. Solo tonight. So this episode is I think, going to be called Ramblin' Ryan because that's what it's going to be. It's just going to be me solo talking about a few things, a little bit of sports, but more just, things in general and everything like that. So first off, I just want to thank everybody that does listen to this podcast. We've done this for just a little bit over 4 years. We started this right in the beginning of COVID with our, Trevor and I's mutual friend, Taylor Howard. He's from here in Oskaloosa, moved to Omaha, um, essentially a professional card player, poker player, and does a great job with that and living his life out in Omaha now. And, kind of has a family and doing everything there. And everything just kind of changed a little bit after a few life changes. And so it just didn't work out for him and I to continue to do that. But then Trevor stepped in and we've been doing this for about 3.5 years. We did, several episodes there with Taylor, but then, his life changed and for the better, and proud of him and what he's doing with his career and everything. But, Trevor stepped in and we've, kind of been nonstop for the most part for the last 3.5 years. So thank you to those of you that listen. I want to thank again Steve Shetler for letting us be on his programming. I went to the Facebook page. I think I might have said this last week, but it is amazing how many people watch that. Just here in Southeast Iowa. Thank those people. Dan Bryce at DB Landscaping, he kind of helped sponsor us and get us on that site. One of my friends actually played golf with him last Sunday. Really good golfer. Watched him on a par 4 drive the green, and we were told it lipped out by a group in front of us. So he just about held one on a par 4. Tapped in for eagle and took all of our money. So next time I have to take your money, Dan. All right. Just a couple other things, just housekeeping here for the podcast. When you're listening to us, if you could, wherever you listen, Apple Podcast, Google, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, iHeart, any of the streams you do, if you could rate and review us and get it on that, it just helps the podcast. The more people that do that, just the algorithms, we all know the algorithms are what rule your web traffic and everything. So just if you could do that, great. And then since this podcast is kind of through Spotify in a way, if you could listen to us on Spotify, if you have that capability, or you listen to Spotify for your music, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify and listen to us through that. Helps us even more than some of the others, just with our affiliation with Spotify. So again, thanks to all of those that do listen and review and rate us. Thanks to all of those people. As I said, just started this in COVID. I got this idea. I was on radio doing football and basketball for Cardinal High School here in Southeast Iowa, and I got away from that a little bit. COVID happened, and it just intrigued me. And I listened to KXNO radio. For those of you here in Iowa, it's based out of Des Moines. You can listen to it on the podcasts, or it is a radio station, 106.3 FM out of Des Moines. 6 to 8 in the morning is called, the Morning Rush with Travis Justice and Ross Peterson. 11 to 1 is Ken Miller and Trent Condon. 1 to 3 is Andy Fales and Keith Murphy, both from WHO. And then from 3 to 6 is Heather Burnside, right here from Southeast Iowa, graduated from Ottumwa High School. And Sean and our buddy Sean Roberts. So I listen to those about every day. And I listen. Everybody makes fun of me when I listen to my podcasts or anything. I listen on double speed. So everybody walks in and they're like, "What are you listening to?" I'm just used to it. I like having a 45-minute show that only takes 20 minutes. I listen to it on my drive to and from work, about a half hour every day. there and back, and then driving around, traveling, just doing whatever I do. I spend quite a bit of time in the car, mostly by myself. It's just kind of my time. I think and I listen and everything. And then also, I'll listen to them. And then also Chris Williams and everybody at Cyclone Fanatic and Iowa Everywhere. I listen to all those podcasts as well. So, if you listen to this podcast and you like this stuff, those are some other options to listen to. That's what I listen to. There are Hawkeye versions of most of those instead of the Cyclone Fanatic. The Iowa Everywhere has Cyclone and Hawkeye stuff. Kind of, the big show is Chris Hassel and Chris Williams. Chris Hassel, formerly of WHO, is a Hawkeye fan. Chris Williams obviously runs Cyclone Fanatic. And that's kind of the big show there. But, there's a Cyclone-centered one. There's a Hawkeye-centered one with Jordan Bohannon. There's kind of, it's got a little bit of everything. So it's not all sports, but it is sports-themed, kind of like our podcast for the most part. And then, also want to thank the other people that have been on this show. I already talked about, obviously, Taylor and Trevor, co-hosts. But then Zach is a frequent visitor anytime we need someone to jump on, which I probably could have called him tonight. Tonight was kind of sudden that Trev couldn't make it. So I'm like, I'll just do it by myself tonight. But usually I make a call to Zach, and he's more than happy to help us out and jump on. And then TJ Tassel and Brett Foster were part of, when we first started this sports podcast, COVID happened, so no sports. So we kind of did a serial bracket. We did Iowa Mr. Basketball bracket. So we just kind of did some fun things, and those guys joined us for those episodes. What's really happened here in Iowa, this last week or so, it's truly turned from kind of winter, the cold spring, to a little bit warmer spring, and summer's fast approaching. Everybody's mowing their yards now, working on their yards, doing more things outside, going for walks. So that means it is time to get outside, enjoy everything, play golf. That's kind of what I do for fun. But this summer is a lot of concerts for me. Kind of just worked out that way. I don't know why I decided to go to this many, but I'm going to go watch Zach Bryan next week, Thursday and Friday, in Des Moines at Wells Fargo Arena. Then I'm going to Omaha to watch him the next week. So I'm going to see Zach Bryan 3 times in about 5 days. So that'll be super fun. He's my favorite artist. We've talked about it on the podcast. I've already seen him 4 or 5 times. So it'll be 3 more times. And then coming up May 4th in Indianola, kind of right out my parents' back door at the Balloon Fields, is the Spring Revivalry. I don't know exactly what it's called, but Turnpike Troubadours are the headliners there. So that's kind of a most of the day event, kind of outside. Enjoy it, kind of hinterland-ish, and we're going to talk about hinterland here coming up. So, but that's kind of a new concert series, and Turnpike Troubadours is a really good band I like. So we're going to listen to that. And then May 25th, Memorial Weekend, I will be in Jack Trice Stadium, which is one of my favorite places to be in the fall to watch Cyclone football. But we're going there Saturday, May 25th, George Strait, Chris Stapleton, and Little Big Town. I wish just it was George Strait for 4 or 5 straight hours, but that's just me. But really happy to see the others as well. Chris Stapleton's really good. Little Big Town has a few hits as well, but kind of going to make that a weekend. Going to bring up the camper and stay in the RV lot. We got thank a friend for getting us that access to the RV Village, which is a great addition to Cyclone football. He parks there. We go there. We tailgate. We also, we take our camper up, and we are just right across the creek there, across from Coldwater Links, the golf course. Take our camper onto a private spot instead of Iowa State land. But that is it's super fun on the weekends. It's going to be interesting to see how full that is and how many people enjoy that. If that happens to be weather, a great weekend. I mean, I'm going to go up Friday night, obviously all day, Saturday for the concert. I'm planning on going in and out of the concert a couple times in between acts. Go out, have a few beers, and go back in. So that'll be nice and able to save a little money there grab a snack and everything instead of having to buy everything in the stadium. And, George Strait, last concert I was in with Jack Trice Stadium, I was in college, went and saw George Strait at Jack Trice Stadium. So they don't have concerts there very much. I think that is going to be something that happens a little bit more frequent, but I'm going to take advantage of that as well. And then, as I kind of talked earlier, Hinterland did that last year to watch Zach Bryan. This year, Noah Khan is the headliner and going to camp there with our camper as well and spend the weekend. Just, friends and just fun activities and lots of bands there. And some bands some bands you don't, and you listen to them and they're pretty good. And then you start listening to them more and more, and then they become more and more famous. Kind of like Zach Bryan, Trevor was the first one to hit on him. We actually saw him for $50 at the Val Air Ballroom before it was renovated. It's a really nice place now. I need to get to it. Just reopened back up with like a $15-20 million renovation. But this was before all that. Just him up there by himself, and it was a great show. And I wish we could go see him for $50 now, but that is not the case. Yeah, so again, Hinterland, Noah Khan's the headliner. A couple other bands I like, Vampire Weekend and Red Clay Strays are a couple other bands that I know I want to listen to. And then as we get closer, we'll listen to some of the other bands that are there. 3-day event that has music each and every night there. Actually, kind of, I have the sound off and everything, but I have a Noah Khan video playing right now on YouTube as we're doing this podcast. Really, sports right now, college football, college basketball is kind of our bread and butter here. Transfer portal just opened back up for football. Really nothing from Iowa State. There's a couple headline things from Coach Campbell that people are ending their football career medically. One guy tore his ACL. He's done for the year. Which is Carson Willich, which is kind of a big hit. He played a little bit last year for the linebacker core, but nothing too big. Iowa had added their punter to replace Tory Taylor from the same academy in Australia. It's kind of interesting. His quote, he didn't know anything about Iowa. He was just placed there. That's where his people or that academy, whatever, said you're going to Iowa. So there wasn't really a recruitment or find out if you like the place or not. I think he just kind of told that's where he's going. Worked last time, so hopefully it works again for Iowa. I can't really think of a better place if you want to be a good punter, and they're going to use you effectively and the most efficiently is the Iowa Hawkeyes and head coach Kirk Ferentz. Basketball, so many portal entries. Kind of one that surprised. Bowen Bourne went in the transfer portal just yesterday, or maybe it was Monday. And, he said, he loves Cedar Falls. He's going to graduate. He wants to try something new. I don't know if he just wants to get paid a little bit more money or he just wants to try something else. Just interested. I'd love to know, and they don't deserve to say it out loud or to me or to anybody. They make their decision on their own and for whatever they think is best for them. But I'd love to know the real reasons. Is it money? Is it they don't like the coaches or they don't like the team? Or is it they just want to try something new? Is it a family decision? Is it just he wants to do it? There was an article today in the Des Moines Register that I read about, and they interviewed Patrick McCaffrey. And that was, and he said it was his decision. He told his mom first, then he told his dad, and they understood. And essentially it came down to he just needed to get out of Iowa City. I think for his mental health. Obviously he grew up there, played there. He doesn't know any different. And then obviously it's got to be stressful being the coach's son. They hear things. You can't say, they'll say they don't read everything. That's BS. And we all know that. They see and hear everything. He's not playing well. Why is he starting? And then he wasn't starting. He was hurt. Mental health. And he just needed a new start. He's going to Butler, which is Indianapolis. I find that not It's not a coincidence. His brother's in Indianapolis working for the Pacers. His brother's girlfriend, which we're going to talk about next, just got drafted by the Indiana Fever, which is based in Indianapolis, obviously. So he's going to have people there to support him. He's not going there by himself.